Welcome to Creeper Nick. There are a lot of serial killers out there, and I really thought that Gary Ridgway, the Green River Killer, had committed the most murders, which I guess was true at least to the public's knowledge until this guy got caught in 2012. I'd never heard of him even after he was arrested. This man has admitted to more murders than Ted Bundy, John Wayne Gacy, and Jeffrey Dahmer combined. The guy I'm talking about is named Samuel Little. At the end of the story, I will include some footage from an interview that he'd done just to show how messed up this guy really was. Samuel Little was born on June 7th, 1940 in Georgia to a mother that he said was a prostitute. Not long after he was born, his family moved to Lorain, Ohio, where he was raised pretty much by his grandmother. He was not a good student either. He would say that in kindergarten, he began having sexual fantasies about strangling women. It started when he saw his kindergarten teacher touch her neck. The fantasy stayed with him, and when he became a teenager, he began collecting true crime magazines, specifically ones that would depict women being strangled. Little started getting into more and more trouble as he got older, eventually being held in an institution for juveniles. He moved to Florida with his mom in the 60s and began doing various jobs. After that, he began to travel and get in even more trouble. He was arrested in 8 states for various crimes: driving drunk, fraud, stealing, armed robbery, assault, and even rape. By 1975, he was arrested 26 times in 11 states. Yet this guy was still set free every time. In 1982, he was arrested in Mississippi for the murder of a 22-year-old woman. Finally, he got arrested for a murder. Surely this will be the end of his reign of terror. In 1982, he was arrested in Mississippi for the murder of a 22-year-old woman who had gone missing that same year. A grand jury declined to indict him for the murder. He was then extradited to Florida. He went on trial for the murder of a 26-year-old woman whose body had been found in September of that year. I didn't mean to laugh at the murder. I just think it's funny the way these murderers just keep getting away with this shit. It blows my mind. Witnesses identified Little in court as the person who spent time with the woman the night before she had been murdered. But less than 2 years later, due to the mistrust of witness testimonies, Little was acquitted in January 1984. He would then move to San Diego, California. In October of 1984, he was arrested because he kidnapped, beat, and strangled another 22-year-old woman, who thankfully survived. A month after this, and I don't know how the fuck he was just not in jail or prison at this point, keep in mind he was arrested a month earlier, he was found in his car with another woman who was unconscious. She was beaten and strangled, but survived. He was found in the same location that the previous crime took place. For these, Little was found guilty. Finally, thank God he's off the streets. He'll never be able to hurt anyone ever again. And for these, Little was found guilty. Finally, thank God he's off the streets. He'll never be able to hurt anyone ever again. And wait, he only served 2.5 years for both crimes. What? This guy damn near killed 2 women, not to mention the other women who did die that he went to court for, and he gets 2.5 fucking years? What the fuck? Alright, sorry about that tangent. So, he gets released in February 1987, moves to Los Angeles, and commits at least 10 more murders. At least 10 more murders. Let's just fast forward to September 2012. Little was found and arrested at a homeless shelter in Kentucky, where he was extradited to California for a drug charge, which turns out they didn't really give a shit about the drug charge. They were just using it to get DNA from him to connect him to the murders. Eventually, after a couple years, Little was found guilty and was sentenced, finally, to life in prison without parole. He kept saying he was innocent for the longest time, but eventually had a change of heart or something. Who the fuck cares about why he changed his mind? He's a fuckface. But he ended up confessing to 93 total murders, 60 of which were actually confirmed, and the remaining 33 are said to be very credible.
She was about 30.
Okay. And she's a black female.
Yeah. And tell me where you met her.
I met her in a nightclub in New Orleans. Her and her sister she had two sisters. Her and her youngest sister was having a birthday party. Her sister was dancing with this guy on the floor. And when I come in, the girl that I was with offered me to dance with me. And while we were dancing, she says, you want to go riding after this party's over? We walked outside and she looked and seen my car. That lady, she said, ooh, that's a beautiful car too. So she had arm in arm, walking to the car. We got in, stopped at the gas station. We were on the Highway 10 and going toward Slidell. I seen the sign say Little Woods. So I cut off, I took off the exit, went, and that sure enough was the road leading into the woods. And we went in and parked. So we finally got to where we were going, and it was by a bayou, a river, a little water thing, and the big, they had a machine out there, and I grabbed her by the legs and pulled her to the water. That's the only one that I ever killed by drowning.
Describe the location where she's left.
Okay, I left her with her head still there in the water, half her body in the underwater, and her thighs and legs on the bank. I loved her. I forget her name. Oh wait, I think it was Ruth.
Okay.
She was a heavy set, big old yellow gal, and had buck teeth. It had a gap between the teeth, that's what it was. And she was like honey colored skin, and she had like her hair was not really long.
How tall do you think she was?
She was about 5'7". We stayed together 2 days or more. I think about 3 days. We was going shoplifting. We went to Sears. We went to Kroger's, and that's where I got busted. They took me to jail, and she went and stayed in the car. And the manager of Kroger's, I guess he got tired of her in his property in that car. He called the station where I was at in North Arkansas to drop the charges. So he can come down and get this gal and car out of here. They cut me loose. I whooped off the road and back into that little woods. It was a cornfield back there. I pulled through it, and on the other side of the cornfield was a trash pile. I parked the car facing out where I could see anybody coming in. So I pulled her out of the car. She's too big for me to carry her. So I just pulled her out of the car, laid on that trash and let her there.
So was it like a corn stalk?
Yeah, a bunch of corn stalks.